one of the things that I feel is missing in today's society is that people can get by really easily. You know, all you have to do is show up for work, do your job, go home, eat food, go to sleep. You don't have to struggle to acquire that food. You don't have to really go through life or death scenarios on a daily basis. For most people, a life or death scenario is incredibly, incredibly rare. But those scenarios are sort of replicated inside the gym on a daily basis. When some jiu-jitsu black belt is mounting you and he's choking the shit out of you.
Survival is a key thing.
It's real. It's real. Like, you know, look, if I'm rolling and, you know, Jean-Jacques on top of me and he's got an arm triangle and, you know, I might black out, I'm 100% certain he's not going to kill me. He'll tap me, you know, I'll go, even if he chokes me out, I'll go to sleep. I know that I'm going to survive. But you don't feel that at the time. When you are getting choked, that is life or death. It really truly is.
Yeah, you can't fake those feelings that you feel when you're training and you put yourself through all these situations. And I've been put to sleep many times in training, you know, and you know, that's a crazy feeling, you know, it's a crazy feeling to like, I don't want to tap and I'm going to almost get out and I'm going to almost, and then you just wake up and you motherfuckers are laughing at you. So,
and that's
a feeling that you cannot replace. There's no other way that you're going to be able to feel that unless you personally are like living in that moment, and no matter what, there's nothing more intense than somebody trying to choke you. You know, you're natural, so you feel those feelings, and how you deal with those feelings are going to really dedicate your life. And that's how I kind of am able to read people, is how they deal. How do they deal when they're under stress? How do they deal when they're winning? How do they deal when everything's going good? Are they the same person when they're losing than when they're winning? How do they deal when somebody's outsmart? So I've kind of always been really curious to see how people are and how do they react. You know, how are you going to react when somebody's beating you? How are you going to react when you're winning, when you're stronger? Or how are you going to react when somebody's weaker and you're just trying to help? So I think it's a kind of a great experience.
Jiu-jitsu reveals character.
Oh, I know more about my students than they know about themselves. You know, I'll tell them exactly where they, you know, I know everything about them because I've trained with them, and I know what they feel, how they feel when they're feeling great, how they feel when they're feeling weak, when they're winning. You know, I know how to feel if you're a coward, or if you have heart, if you have patience, if you know, have dignity. All these things are things that I can feel when I train with you. Just give me 5-10 minutes to train with you, and I'll know more about you than probably you yourself, unless you're a very experienced person with yourself. So, and that's what I kind of judge my whole basis on, is how I feel, how I judge somebody on how they train. I don't judge somebody on how they talk to me. You know, sometimes I'll get people who they're super nice and they're super, and super respectful in person, and they're just the perfect person, right? And then when they train, there's this malice from them, and it's weird, you know. You're like, whoa, that malice is for real.
Malice towards other
people,
partners.
Or just not how they were when they were normal. You know, so when they're able to act, they're able to put this show on for whoever. But when they're training, there's no way you can hide your personality. So, and it goes the other way too. It goes other people. Sometimes people are very cold and rude, and that's not necessarily them. They just don't feel necessarily. When they train, they're respectful, and they're you know, they're trying to get better. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of feel people out, and I just kind of do my judgment on their training. I don't really care what people. Of course, I care, but I don't judge too much on what you say and how you are. Of course, I feel it, but when I train with you, I'll make my final decision.
And on that note, that's a beautiful way to describe it. I love that. I love that statement. When I train with you, I'll make my final decision. That's so true, man.